Kyle Haverland versus Aaron Tarbell. Should be a good one.
Yeah, I'm particularly excited to see that Aromatisse deck again, Josh.
I know your love for the aromas. No, but it was one of the most exciting decks of yesterday. So many different types. He's still running that same foundation, just with a few different expanded cards here or there. We have like a couple of level ball in there. Should make it a bit easier to start searching for his Spritzy.
Yeah, and looks like we have Aaron starting off on the left with that Seismitoad EX staring down Aegis/EX. We saw Aegis/EX be able to slow down those Seismitoad decks sometimes. I don't know if Kyle actually played that yesterday, and that might be a new addition to his deck today.
You know, I think it might be. It's hard to tell because there's so many one-of copies, but just looking at it, yeah, there's things like, there's a Victini in here I don't remember from yesterday.
Yeah.
Probably Virizion Genesect Hate, right? Landorus EX, was that in there yesterday?
I don't think so.
I don't even know anymore, you know. With these Aromatisse decks, you know, you can do so many different things because you're functioning so heavily on the rainbow energy.
That's right. Now we see Aaron with a pretty strong start so far. Already played a Shaman EX for some nice setup, getting a bunch of cards. There's Hypnotoxic Laser, gets a Head Ringer onto that Aegis/EX. Even has Moona out there. That's pretty unique card we haven't seen a whole lot of. I think we saw one deck play it yesterday for that long-distance hypnosis, but I wonder if all these things will come into play.
Yeah, it's Moon is interesting. You know, you've already got the sleep potential with your Hypnotoxic Laser, I guess there. If you really want to provide a little bit of extra hate, it can happen. What do you do if you put your own Toad to sleep, though?
He actually runs Keldeo EX for that rush-in ability, so he can rush in and retreat. He pretty much gets to use long-distance hypnosis for free with no drawback.
Oh, I didn't realize he had that. So he has, I guess, a bit more tech cards than just the straight draw through your whole deck consistency.
Yeah, and I think this is probably to fight off other Seismitoad EX decks. We saw Kyle's deck yesterday play Malamar EX for that same concept. Put their Seismitoad EX to sleep, and if they're asleep, they can't use Quaking Punch, so you get your item cards back. This might be the case for Aaron. In a mirror match, he might go for the long-distance hypnosis, try to keep them asleep, and man, if you miss a Quaking Punch in a Seismitoad mirror match, you are pretty much done for.
Oh, yeah, because then you're just hit by Toad nonstop. You pretty much can't discard their energy unless you can find yourself one of your supporters. Otherwise, all those items that you cherish so much, they're gone.
Right. So, again, Aaron's getting a pretty strong turn here. He's done quite a few things.
Floatstone on the Keldeo already, too.
Yeah, it's Seismitoad's a pretty low-maintenance deck. It doesn't take a whole lot to get your Quaking Punch going, especially now with Shaman EX. So, I mean, a pretty solid turn, but, I mean, at the end of it, you can't attack, so he just has to pass.
Right. So, we do see Tails flip. That Aegis is going to remain asleep. Not sure how much of a factor it's going to make early in, but that Keldeo is going to be huge. It pretty much nullifies one of Kyle's favorite tricks in abusing the Malamar.
That's right. So now we see Computer Search from Kyle. This might be the last time he gets to play item cards for a while, so he's probably going to try to play as many as he wants, as many as possible this turn. Yeah. Computer Search being the first one.
I know that life. When you're on a one-turn timer, just like, okay, items, get them out, thin the deck, do what I can. And Computer Search is certainly a great item to start with. Arguably one of the strongest item cards in the entire game. You can only play one copy of it in a deck because it's an A spec, but you can just search your deck for anything.
It looks like he actually computer searches for a Pokemon fan club, so you can get two basic Pokemon. The two of choice are going to be Seismitoad EX and Shaman EX. No Spritzy quite yet for that Aromatisse, but I guess he's thinking, well, my opponent's going to use Quaking Punch, maybe I should try to.
So, yeah, he does have the double colorless energy, drops the Sky Field, so his whole field has expanded. He can fit up to 8 Pokemon in his bench now.
Yeah, and one thing he actually added for the expanded format is Prism Energy. That's a card that did rotate out, and when it's attached to basic Pokemon, it is just like a Rainbow Energy. It provides every type.
He actually, doesn't even run Fairy Energy anymore in the deck.
Yeah, he runs 0 basic energy in his entire deck.
Yeah, 4 Prisms, they're essentially Rainbows. Even though they've rotated, they're so good and expanded, you don't even have to add a damage counter like you do with Rainbow normally.
Yeah.
And he does play, again, another expanded card, Level Ball, allowing him to get an easy Spritzy out.
That's right. Yeah, Spritzy is a great card in Aromatisse. It can search for Spritzy or Aromatisse since they both have 90 HP or less. So we do see that card featured pretty frequently when we see expanded format.
And we do see the flip for sleep. Aegis wakes up, taking the poison damage, but because Aaron is able to flip, looks like he hits heads and discards the energy.
Yeah, so right away, the first energy Kyle gets to put down is discarded immediately. And that's just kind of the danger of facing Seismitoad EX. Kyle might be able to get that Regirock out at some point as that Omega Barrier kind of protects your energy. But until then, he's susceptible to those hammers.
Oh, here's an interesting card from Aaron. I don't think we've seen it yet. He played the Town map, which allows you to flip all of your prize cards up face up.
Yeah, so we can see kind of what's in his prize cards, and actually the Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick is in the prize cards. So that means he won't be able to get his Archeops out until he finds that Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick taking a knockout.
It's always a shame when you're running these one-card combos because you're like, okay, how many games am I really going to have this prized? But sometimes it does happen. So until he can knock out something, and this Aegislash isn't going anywhere quickly, it looks like Kyle will have an opportunity to get the Aromatisse.
Yeah, so we did see the long-distance hypnosis from Muna puts Aegislash to sleep and keeps it there. So that's a pretty big deal. We might see, I don't know, it might prevent Kyle from doing something this turn. Probably not, because he just attached and passed.
Interesting. He had a lot of energy in hand and a Sycamore. I guess he decided I would rather keep these energy instead of discarding them all to try and draw a little bit deeper.
Yeah, so we see Crushing Hammer gets tails that time. This is kind of a weird situation. Kyle, he is actually fine being patient, I think. He's not taking much damage. Instead of having to discard his hand with the Sycamore, like you said, all those energy, he's just going to sit back and say, you know what, I'll just see if I draw something better without having to discard my stuff because you are currently doing 0 damage to my Aegislash.
All right, well, we are getting a few more damage counters on Aegislash now that the Skyfield has been replaced by Burbank City Gym. Now poison damage deals 3 between turns instead of the usual 1. But it's like you said, otherwise, Aegislash doesn't take damage because of that Mighty Shield ability.
That's right. Yeah, Kyle, he's in an interesting spot. Seismitoad is not a deck that's going to, rush you for a bunch of damage. It's going to slowly whittle you away with those item cards and just take away your item cards. So Aromatisse decks do have the luxury of being able to just kind of sit back, wait. Maybe I can wait 3 or 4 turns before I'm really under any pressure.
Yeah, it seems like Kyle does have those 3 or 4 turns we can bide his time. I'm sure he would love to find an Aromatisse before that Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick is claimed from the prize.
Yeah. You can see Aaron already having to count how many cards are in his deck. He's drawn so many cards that he's worried that he'll run out of cards if he plays a Professor Juniper or something like that.
Oh, so we do see Archeops does hit the discard pile for the first time. Discarded. Is that with an Ultra Ball, I see?
Yeah, looks like he's playing the Ultra Ball. Maybe searching for, looks like Shaman EX to draw some more cards. Again, he counted how many cards he had left in his deck just to make sure he wouldn't run out of them.
Right, yeah. I mean, he can drop a Shaman, set up, draw a lot, just needs to make sure. I mean, I don't see the trump card in the prizes, so he knows it's in there somewhere. He'll eventually be able to reset.
Oh, and there's another head ringer onto Kyle's Seismitoad EX. That'll stop any double colorless and Quaking Punch potential. If he gets Aromatisse and then a Darkrai EX and a double colorless energy, he can still Quaking Punch, but it's going to be tough.
It is asking a lot. It is nice, though, for him to have that one energy remain on the field. Often you see these special energies get discarded very quickly by Enhanced Hammer or Crushing Hammer, any kind of hammer, really.
Yeah, anytime an energy can stay on the board, that's a win for Kyle, I think.
So here's the question. He has all these energies and still Sycamores. Is he content attaching and passing, or is he going to try and dig a little bit deeper?
I think we're at the point where he has to start digging for more cards. There's the Professor Sycamore.
Double, 2 prisms.
That Burbank City Gym is really what's going to push the pressure on him. He needs to find a stadium to get rid of that.
There it is.
Yeah, he finds that, or maybe his Virizion EX for Verdant Wind.
All right, so we see another pass. This time Poison dealing just 1 between turns because Verbank is gone.
And then that Aegislash has not woken up.
It's sleepy.
It's taking a long nap.
I guess he doesn't have the ability to really move with it or attack with it, but it is a little sad to see it just stuck there.
Yeah. Here we see Zero Sick discarding the Rainbow Energy off of that Seismitoad EX on the bench, so more and more energy denial from Aaron. Seems like every time Kyle puts one down, except for that one prism, one has been removed. And that has to be the strategy for Aaron. Every time an energy comes down, he has to discard it, and then just kind of make sure Kyle can never attack.
So we see yet another Quaking Punch for 0 because of Mighty Shield, 1 damage counter from Poison, but he does wake up. And there is an interesting dynamic I've noticed here. Kyle has had to ditch a lot of his energy into the discard pile, but Aaron has also dug through a lot of his deck. He's almost going to be forced to play that Lysander's trump card, and when he does that, all those energy come back into Kyle's deck.
That's right. So we do see a Pokemon Fan Club. This is a very good card against Seismitoad EX. Not an item card, so you can still play it. And he'll be able to grab those 2 Pokemon he really needs right now. Virizion EX can shut off those Hypnotoxic lasers. Verdant Wind stopping any special conditions. And then Darkrai EX with that Dark Cloak can give free retreat. All because Prism Energy can provide every type of energy.
All very helpful. So there we see Poison just leaves the moment that Virizion hits the bench. Verdant Wind shutting it off. The Prism Energies, just like Rainbows, count for 1 of each type, including Grass.
Yeah, and he has Skyfield in play, so he can put down that Darkrai EX with 6 benched Pokemon. And here comes the Lysander.
Ooh.
This is going to be big for shutting down that Aromatisse before it can even come into play.
That's one thing I was wondering when he played the Fan Club is, did he have another Spritzy in the deck to drop? I thought maybe that would have been a possible option. He didn't actually use the Darkrai right away. I wonder if it was in the prize cards.
Right. So Aaron actually opted to take his computer search out of the prizes instead of that Maxie's hidden ball trick. He knocks out the Spritzy, so he knows, well, Aromatisse isn't coming out anytime soon. So
Kyle has to see the Aromatisse off of that Sycamore.
And here we go. Malamar EX can make the difference here. Hyper Hypnosis putting Seismitoad EX to sleep. This could be a very big sleep flip.
Well, Aaron does, though, still have that Keldeo. Yeah, it's been sitting there. It hasn't done anything yet, but it's still fully able to rush in, retrieve for free with the Float Stone. So while the Malamar really did help Kyle in past Seismitoad matchups, here it's sort of just a useless trick.
Totally forgot about Keldeo EX.
He hasn't done anything. It's just been sitting there, but it's actually a huge combo.
Maybe Aaron will forget like I did.
We'll see. It has been a bit of time.
All right, so there's a Lysander's trump card. Both players looking at each other's discard pile, seeing, all right, what are you putting back into your deck? All right, well, okay. And then you can't actually shuffle Lysander's trump card back in, so Kyle's will stay in his discard pile as well. But now we've kind of reset the game. Aaron gets back all of his hammers and stuff like that. Kyle gets back all the energy he had to discard, and we're just kind of back to square one. But usually in this spot, the Seismitoad deck has the advantage because they get to play item cards. They get to kind of flow through their deck a little faster.
And so right away, do we see a battle compressor played, it looks like?
Yeah, he's going right for the town map.
Yeah. Once you've played town map, you can't flip your prizes over a second time. and like we noted, when you have Archeops in the deck, that's also not serving you, so that's hit the discard pile as well.
Yeah, so we see a computer search at this point. He'll be able to search for any card with his A-Spec card. I wonder what he's going to go for.
Yeah, he has a lot of options. He still can't yet do the Maxie's hidden ball trick because it is still in the prize cards, but Kyle's in a rough spot. He doesn't even have a Spritzy down.
Yeah, now something I just noticed about Aaron's deck list is we do see another Tails on Crushing Hammer. He doesn't run any Enhanced Hammer.
Oh, he doesn't?
Yeah.
I know we saw one list earlier that ran 2. This is the one that runs none. Would be so helpful in this matchup.
Yeah, that would be every energy in Kyle's deck is a special energy, so Enhanced Hammer would be an instant discard every time he draws it. Now he just runs 4 Crushing Hammer, though.
Another thing I haven't seen from Kyle, and I'm sure he sort of waits until he can get the Aromatisse, but I haven't seen Regirock yet to sort of protect those energy over the long term.
Yeah. We do see, one of our biggest choruses so far.
Here we go.
So there's 6 benched Pokemon for Aaron, and it looks like 6 for Kyle as well. Looks like we're going to get a nice chorus for 12, and this should really jumpstart his hand.
The dirty dozen.
But the unfortunate thing for Kyle is he does not have Aromatisse yet. He doesn't have any Spritzy in play. He can't even get Aromatisse if he wanted to. So his energy are just kind of stranded on those Pokemon. And neither of them are really going to be great attackers right now.
And he's drawn. I did not see a single Spritzy. I'm sure that's what he was hoping to find. I still wonder if one of them was prized just because he didn't so quickly grab a second one. But there, he did have the one shuffled back into his deck with the trump card. But if that is one, it's still just one Spritzy.
Yeah. Kyle has a couple options here. This is one of them. He could start powering up Virizion EX. Only does 50 damage with Emerald Slash, but it'll do 100 against Seismitoad EX because of that weakness. He doesn't have any grass energy to pull out of his deck with Emerald Slash, but this is an effective strategy because of the resistance on Virizion EX and also Verdant Wind.
Yeah, I mean, it still applies a 2-hit knockout pressure while not really taking any damage of its own. It's just a shame because the way his board is currently set up, he has energy all over the place, and I'm sure he would certainly love to be able to start abusing Aromatisse, moving them, and start attacking right now.
Yeah, looks like Aaron is going for the Lysander to bring out Malamar EX. So it looks like he's kind of identified that as the card he doesn't want to see. He actually played a Hypnotoxic Laser, does nothing because of Verdant Wind, and he's played a couple Super Scoop-Ups. I wonder what he's trying to go for here. Maybe go for a Crushing Hammer. He could try to go for long-distance Hypnosis on Muna, but that also does nothing because of Virizion EX.
Yeah,
so yeah, Aaron's in kind of a strange spot.
Interesting that he chose to pull up the Malamar of all things, considering he has his own Keldeo trick. It's not going to prevent him there. It just depends, how does he want to start hurting his opponent? Here comes the hammer. But,
I mean, he's got to start drawing more hammers and start to discard energy because, I mean, even though those energy are spread out, Aromatisse could come out at some
another
point.
Tails.
Oh, man.
Oh, wait, did he just play another hammer on top of that hammer? Or
No,
he just discarded the one.
He emphatically discarded it to show his disgust with all the Tails flips. But yeah, I mean, even though these attackers aren't particularly threatening, if Virizion EX can Emerald Slash a few times, it's going to start dishing out some damage.
Well, it is ready to go, and even though Malamar has 2 retreat, we do see a Darkrai EX on Kyle's bench, meaning he can just use Dark Cloak, retreat for free, because he was able to hold on to that energy, and Emerald Slash.
Yeah, so we see Kyle actually...
He still can look through his deck.
Yeah, he's going to search through the deck, and oh man, all my grass energy must be prized. Oh.
I'm trying to see, it's hard to tell, whether or not he had 2 Spritzy in there.
I don't think there was another one in the deck.
Probably just the one. Prize is hurting both players right now.
Right.
And 100 damage on the Toad.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure when Trump card was played, so maybe Spritzy got shuffled back in. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it did. I saw at least one in there. Just wasn't sure if I found the second.
So you see a Super Scoop Up heads, Aaron signifying that there's another Seismitoad on the bench that has the exact same cards, and he's just going to replay the Seismitoad with all of his cards. So rather than going through all the motion of picking the cards up and replaying them, you're just going to remove the damage.
So here we see Versus Seeker, Lysander, pulling up Seismitoad. I almost thought that should have been his first target on the Lysander, just because it has higher retreat. That said, Kyle, all he needs to do is just attach one of his rainbowed energies, and he can retreat for free and get rid of that special condition all at once by abusing both the dark and grass types at the same time.
Yeah, this is slowly getting worse and worse for Aaron. With each turn, and he doesn't remove an energy, it's going to be pretty bad. Right? All these Pokemon are now getting energy. He can't do his Lysander trick where he tries to trap a Pokemon in the active spot. And a big Sycamore from Kyle.
So many resources, but I know he probably desperately wants to get a Spritzy down.
Oh, yeah. And something I noticed is, well, Kyle actually does play a Wally in his deck to get around Archeops. So,
he's got that in here now?
Yeah, so even if Archeops comes into play, he can get Aromatisse into play in one turn. So he's got a lot of options. And again, he is fine with playing this game as slowly as possible. I mean, he's not taking much damage because of the resistance, so every turn that goes by, he draws more and more cards to work with. And you got to think if Kyle is the one who's building up all of his Pokemon, eventually he'll be able to overwhelm Aaron with just bigger attackers.
Yeah, we're really starting to see the weakness of Aaron not having an enhanced hammer in his deck, at least in this matchup, because he's had to rely on flips, and unfortunately they have not served him very well.
And here we see the second Lysander's trump card of the game. Of course, you can get that back constantly with Versus Seeker, so neither player ever really going to run out of cards. I mean, there's been one prize taken so far.
Unreal.
This is getting kind of silly.
It's a slow deck. It's a war of attrition. Can you lock your opponent long enough with Toad, or can you sort of bide your time, not take much Toad damage, and set everything up?
So there we see a rush in and retreat from Aaron, just swapping out Seismitoad EX. That's a big turn. He did not find a Super Scoop Up that turn, so I don't know. Yeah, things are starting to get ugly.
Aromatisse down and the Wally. Here we go.
Oh, man. Wally coming into play.
He can get Aromatisse down in one turn. Wally ignoring that normal rule where you have to wait. I didn't even realize he snuck it in there. It must have been an Archeops counter.
Oh, yeah. You got to think that's what it's for. And he gets it into play immediately, and now Aaron is in tons of trouble. Now Kyle can move all of his energy around. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energy cards in play. Oh, man, he can start doing all sorts of stuff, but he's actually just going to take it slowly and say, I'll just Emerald Slash. You can't really do much about it.
Yeah, I mean, Emerald Slash, it's creating these 2-hit knockouts. It only requires 2 energy. Now Kyle has so much more control, though. Let's say Aaron ever does hit 2 hammers in one turn. He can just move them with the Aromatisse to replace. And another Tails on the Crushing Hammer.
Yeah, if I'm in Aaron's spot, I might actually consider conceding this game. It's at the point where it's really going to be difficult to overcome all of those energy cards in play. You won't be able to really knock out Aromatisse in one turn. You know, Quaking Punch just doesn't have that kind of damage output. So it's...
I think I just witnessed like 3 different Tails on hammers, super scoop ups. Like now is certain. Oh, maybe he did hit one. I do see the damage being removed from a Toad.
Yeah, he hit a few super scoop ups there.
Oh, so he did hit them. He was just like playing them all at once.
Yeah,
okay.
He's taken a couple... Too many shortcuts there, just replaying things down. The judge pointing out, no, you've already attached double colorless energy to the active Seismitoad EX. And just a Quaking Punch. But yeah, Kyle is just in complete control at this point. If he can find something like that Evil Tall EX or Trevenant EX, he can start just running through these Seismitoad EX one by one.
So, unfortunately, for Kyle's part, we don't see any of his crazy attackers, but still Virizion pulling the weight. And Virizion is doing so much more than just the damage. That Verdant Wind is shutting off the main source of damage on Aaron's deck. The Hypnotoxic Laser's useless.
Yeah, so this is just kind of a slow grind trying to wear down Aaron. Aaron unable to hit those crushing hammers when he needed to. We might see the third Lysander's trump card.
And we just see Aaron sort of skipping steps. I think it was implied that he rushed in and retreated his Keldeo in order to get the clean Toad in the active spot.
Yeah, that is a little bit confusing if you're not used to seeing this kind of competitive play. Even confusing for me sometimes when they kind of skip those steps. But yeah, that's exactly what's happening if you're a little confused by what's going on.
And still, Virizion EX, because of that water resistance, only taking 30 damage at a time. Seismitoad EX does have a muscle band. Typically would be doing 50.
Yeah. And now, we see another Professor Sycamore discarding a ton of cards. I mean,
still none of his one-hit KO attackers. You know, he's probably really hoping to find himself, like I said, either a big Evil Tall or perhaps the Trevenant, but nothing yet.
Yeah, and Aaron, this is going to be a big turn. If he doesn't find a super scoop up, Kyle can finally take the first knockout. He's been able to, slowly build up a decent position, even though he hasn't been getting knockouts. He's been able to
Tails.
Another Tails. He's been able to do 30 damage at a time and scoop up his own Seismitoad. So he's been denying prizes while slowly doing 30. Eventually he'll get a knockout, but if he doesn't hit those super scoop ups, well, then Kyle's going to start getting knockouts, and things are going to spiral out of control pretty quickly.
Yeah, the question is, how many super scoop ups can you hit? Can you keep scooping forever? I just don't think you can.
So there we see an Ultra Ball coming out of Aaron, discarding Startling Megaphone and a Versus Seeker as well. He'll probably go for another Shaman EX if he has one.
I thought that, but I think he only runs 3 in this list.
That's
he doesn't
right.
run the full 4 like a lot of other players. So actually grabbing Archeops, interestingly enough.
Yeah, so up to this point, Aaron has been able to cycle through his deck almost every single turn, but he's finally drawn kind of a poor combination of cards where he's not able to do it. There are all 3 of his Shaman EX on the field. So he's at the point where he's played trump card too many times, Josh.
Ooh, Kyle can really have a nasty turn, too. You could discard the double colorless energy off of the benched Toad with Xerasic and knock out the active one. Instead, looks like he opts, I'm in such a good position. Let's just go ahead and take what I can.
Yeah, so Aaron at this point, I don't know what exactly he's trying to do. He's only managed to take 1 prize. His Seismitoad EX are starting to get knocked out. There's so much energy on Kyle's field. If he ever draws something that can knock out a Seismitoad EX in one hit, you got to think the game's going to be over since Aromatisse is out there.
Yeah, I kind of think it's over now. He has a lot of things. He can even, if Virizion ever does hit the discard pile, he could do something like use Manectric, Salt Laser.
Yeah. And, even Malamar EX, we've seen that in
The
Maximar.
Maximar closing out the game. That's not out of the question at all.
Oh, yeah. If you get enough flips, that's a pretty devastating attack.
He doesn't have the Regirock to sort of keep these energies safe, but because we haven't seen Enhanced Hammer, they've also been pretty good. Actually opting to discard the Manectric.
Yeah, that's not going to be entirely useful here. All those other Pokemon are probably a little better for you. All the 3 Pokemon with energy on them you want to keep. Darkrai EX you want to keep for Dark Cloak. And Aromatisse, of course, you need to move your energy around.
Sure. We do see flip. I believe that's heads on that die. Some of those dice, they'll have either the 1 or the 6 as the symbol, and I always wonder which one is which.
Man, this could be a knockout for Aaron if he wants to take it. Virizion EX only with 50 HP, and he's going to go with it. Shaman going to get the knockout with a Sky Return.
And another tail. Has he hit a single Crushing Hammer this game?
Yeah, it's been a pretty long game, so he's hit quite a few, but he has missed a ton as well.
Yeah, it's been a long drought, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So he does have a knockout, but it also isn't a Quaking Punch, so Kyle will be able to play all of his item cards.
Yeah, the floodgates will open after this turn.
And the question is, can those floodgates reveal something that can one-shot whatever Aaron decides to put in the active spot?
Yeah, I would assume he'll just promote Munna since it's a non-EX Pokemon. You don't care about giving up a single prize because that means 2 more EXs still have to get knocked out. So I think that's what's going to end up happening, but the big thing is Quaking Punch will be shut off.
So yeah, Kyle has so many tools. I guess Kyle will be hoping to have something like an Ultra Ball and a Lysander to sort of clean this game out. But for now, Virizion does get knocked into the discard pile, and he's going to lose Verdant Wind, which could change some things.
Yeah, and Aaron trying to figure out which Pokemon to promote. He's thinking about a Shaman. He's thinking about Seismitoad. He's thinking about, I don't know. This is a little tricky, I suppose. He's going to promote Seismitoad.
That's pretty scary because Kyle no longer needs something like a Lysander. Oh, and there's Trevenant. It's right there. It's right there in his hand. He's ready to drop it.
Oh, and Aaron has to take his 2 prize cards for the knockout. He's choosing since Town Map has flipped his prize cards over.
You can see Kyle's hands. He's ready to drop the tree. Here it comes.
Here we go. Trevenant EX coming into play with some Wood Blast.
And it already has everything on the field. All he needs to do is move 2 of those rainbowed energies over, and he can one-shot Seismitoad EX with Wood Blast.
So one big thing did happen, though. Aaron did remove Virizion EX from play, so Verdant Wind is off the table. That means things like Munna's Long Distance Hypnosis and Hypnotoxic Laser are live again, so that is a big knockout.
It is, yeah. He could possibly find himself a sleep flip, keep this Trevenant in a position where it can't move, but it is going to at least push Kyle 2 prizes closer to winning the game.
Oh, yeah. And, with so much energy in play, I don't know if Aaron can stop Trevenant EX from just taking 2 straight knockouts. All it needs is 2 Rainbow or Prism Energy, and Wood Blast will hit for 90, times 2 for the weakness. So it'll be very easy for Trevenant EX to knock out 2 straight Seismitoad EX.
So we see yet another large Sycamore from Kyle, but with all the trump cards that are played, you don't always lose these resources permanently.
So, double versus Seeker. So Kyle taking full advantage of his 1 turn while he'll get those item cards. With the Seismitoad deck, if you can't Quaking Punch just 1 turn, your opponent's going to make you pay for it.
We're seeing AZ and Xerosic, both great utility cards. One of them can heal. One of them can remove doubles anytime Aaron decides to attach one.
Yeah, I think the AZ is probably the bigger one, right? If he does happen to stay asleep on Hypnotoxic Laser or Long Distance Hypnosis, he can simply Fairy Transfer the energy away, AZ to pick up Trevenant, and then retreat back to Trevenant after he plays it back down. This seems like almost an inevitable win for Kyle at this point.
So we see massive Wood Blast for 220 damage because there are technically 3 Grass Energy attached to the Trevenant EX. Unlikely attacker, but excellent toad hate.
Oh, absolutely.
Another Tails of Hammer.
Oof, yeah. I'm sure at this point Aaron's certainly wishing he played Enhanced Hammer in his deck.
You don't have to flip on that one.
Probably wasn't expecting to play against decks with completely special energy. Most of them are Seismitoad EX decks, which you can't play Crushing Hammer against, or even those Raichu decks, and well, they only need that attachment to attack, and you're probably going to knock them out before they even get to attack you again. So probably opting to go all Crushing Hammer just because he didn't expect to need Enhanced Hammer that much.
So for the first time in a long time, Aaron can play a Hypnotoxic Laser and actually attempt to both poison and maybe put his opponent to sleep.
Right.
Let's see. Heads on the flip. This could be big because Kyle no longer has Virizion EX.
Yeah, but we know Kyle has that AZ in his hand, so Aaron has to play an N here, otherwise he's going to be in trouble.
Oh, AZ is so brutal. He can use that to get around the sleep. Just pick up, free retreat, drop back down. Of course, moving the energies first and sealing the game.
Right, so we see Versus Seeker for Aaron. Going to go for Trump card again.
Here we go. Yeah. I don't think there's that much game left in this one.
What is that?
But
Trump card number 4?
Number 4.
Oh, man.
The game never ends.
Oh, jeez. All right, so Aaron, he's been able to cycle through his resources over and over and over and over, but, those Crushing Hammers didn't work out for him. And like we were saying before, if Kyle's able to build up enough energy, eventually he's going to overwhelm the Seismitoad deck. And that's exactly what happened. We've seen beautiful play from Kyle, just being extremely patient, knowing that, all right, as long as I set up, I will eventually overcome this Seismitoad deck.
It's funny how aggressive this format is, but how conservatively you can play to sort of counter some of these decks.
Yeah, so we see a setup with Shaman EX. Aaron is probably desperate to finally try some Crushing Hammer.
Heads.
All right, he got one.
I mean, one, though, when you already have a field of like 6 energy, it's rough.
Yeah, and here's a Super Scoop Up. He's going to need heads on this one as well for setup, maybe.
Yeah.
Looks
he has
like
a
it's
setup
tails.
from hand. Oh, another hammer. I mean, he can certainly try.
Here's another Crushing Hammer. Tails.
It looks like he was not able to turn his luck around that quickly.
Well, here's a computer search, so he could find another Crushing Hammer. If there's one in his deck, there should be. He just played the trump card, so they should be back. Yep, he does computer search for that Crushing Hammer. So if he's going to need heads here, otherwise this game is pretty much over.
Yeah, even without it, it's definitely going to be rough.
So here we go. Another big Crushing Hammer flip coming up. Will Aaron pull it off? And that's a heads.
I believe that's heads, yes.
All right, so now there's only 2 colored energy on Kyle's side of the field that he can move around. 1 rainbow, 1 prism. So there's a chance he just doesn't have a 3rd energy to use Wood Blast.
He flips tails in the sleep. Let's see, he draws. Oh, that double colorless energy I think is all he needs, right?
That should be it.
Move an energy off.
Oh, he's going to Pokemon Fan Club. Virizion EX got shuffled back in with Trump card.
Well,
there we go.
That
There's Verdant Wind.
That does it too.
Removes the special condition. Attachment, Fairy Transfer, and